Welcome back. I hope you've had some time to think about that question we left you with.
We mean about how technology could actually help build faith and community within a church?
Exactly. And, without giving too much away from what we've learned about this system, there's one thing that really caught my eye, and that's the follow-up feature.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
It's mentioned on their dashboard in that image we have, and also in the features and tools section on their website.
Interesting.
It seems like they're not just focused on collecting data, but actually giving churches the tools to, well, to actively engage with their members.
And nurture their spiritual development, maybe?
Right. It's a much more proactive approach to, I guess you could say, pastoral care.
So it's not just about keeping records.
No, it's about actually doing something with that information. So what do you think this follow-up system actually involves?
Well, from what I gathered, it seems like it helps you keep track of interactions with members,
Uh-huh.
maybe schedule follow-up actions, and generate reports on all of that
So
engagement.
it's not just a fancy to-do list, right?
Right. It sounds much more involved than that.
And I think it could be used for all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Well, for checking in on new members, maybe.
Mm.
Providing support for people who are, going through tough times. Or even just making sure everyone feels connected and valued.
That's a pretty amazing concept when you
Yeah.
think about it.
It is.
It's almost like having a built-in system for pastoral care, but it's not just relying on, the pastor or a small team of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's allowing the whole community to participate in a way.
And that ties in so well with that biblical idea of one anothering,
Where we're supposed to love one another, pray for each other, encourage one another.
Yes, exactly. And my church system seems to be giving churches a practical way to actually live that out.
So it's not just technology for the sake of technology.
No, it's about using technology to help people connect
Real human connection,
and support.
which is what community is all about, right?
Right.
Now, let's talk a bit more about communication. We touched on the
Yeah.
different messaging features my church system has.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth exploring how these tools could go beyond, just sending out announcements or reminders.
Absolutely. It's not just one-way communication.
Right.
Think about that in-app messaging feature they have.
Okay.
They mention private chats, group discussions, even channels for specific ministries. It seems like they've really considered the different ways people within a church need to communicate.
And that makes a lot of sense because not everyone wants to be part of every conversation.
Exactly. It allows people to connect based on shared interests or, maybe form support groups or even just chat and fellowship casually online.
It's almost like having a virtual church fellowship hall.
And that's especially important these days when more and more people are connecting online anyway.
It's true.
And speaking of connecting, something that really stood out to me in their About Us section was their focus on global accessibility.
What do you think they mean by that?
Well, I think it shows their vision of making this platform available to any church, no matter where they are in the world or how much technical expertise they have.
Breaking down those barriers.
Exactly. And that's so powerful because it means that churches in all corners of the globe can benefit from these tools.
And connect with each other.
Yes, it's like a digital mission field in a way, connecting churches and spreading the message of faith through technology.
That's a really insightful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It highlights how digital tools can be transformative when used for a greater purpose. Okay, now while we're talking about using technology effectively, let's not forget about all those events and activities that churches have going on.
Well, so much going on all the time.
Sunday services, Bible studies, outreach programs, social gatherings. It's a lot to manage.
And my church system seems to have dedicated features for event planning and church activities from what I saw on their website.
So it's not just about managing members and communication.
Right. They're helping churches streamline the logistics of all those events.
Things like scheduling, registration, coordinating volunteers.
Yeah. And even tracking attendance, all within the system.
It frees up so much time and energy for church leaders and volunteers.
Exactly. So they can focus on what really matters, building relationships and nurturing spiritual growth.
Now, speaking of streamlining things, let's revisit the attendance system for a moment.
Okay.
We talked about it briefly before, but I think it deserves a closer look, especially in the context of managing events.
So what are you thinking about specifically?
Well, it seems like they've gone beyond just tracking who shows up.
Right.
They have things like attendance history, member status overviews, even tools for importing and exporting data, and attendance analytics.
They've really thought of everything, haven't they?
It seems like it.
And all of that information can help churches gain insights into member engagement, see trends, and make better decisions about future
So
events.
it's not just about knowing who showed up, it's about understanding the bigger picture and using that to improve things going forward.
Exactly. And this brings us back to that question we posed earlier. Can technology like My Church System actually help strengthen faith?
It's a complex question.
It is.
But I think we're starting to see how it can play a role in facilitating connection and communication and building community.
Which are all essential ingredients for a thriving faith community.
Exactly.
And while technology alone can't create faith, it can definitely remove those barriers and create new ways for people to experience and express their faith in meaningful ways.
I think you're right. It's about using these tools wisely and intentionally as a way to enhance our spiritual lives and connect with others.
Well said.
Now, before we go on to our final episode, there's one crucial aspect of My Church System that we haven't really talked about yet, and that's the financial management piece.
Ah, yes, the often overlooked but essential part of running any organization, including a church.
Right. We need to talk about that online giving feature and what it means for both the church and its members.
That's a perfect lead-in to our last episode where we'll dive into how My Church System handles finances and how it can help churches be good stewards of their resources.
It's definitely a topic worth exploring. We'll see you back here for episode 3.